Hi, hello, it's me, and today I decided I want to talk about this guy online called Brian Mullins the Fox. Yeah, I, I do the YouTube browsing like I do, and I got wind of this guy called, Brian, of course. He has his own YouTube channel. In fact, he has like 9 of them, which is crazy. I have 3 at this point. They're for like different things, and his is for different things too. Like I can't count them. There's like a comedy one, a drama one, a politic one. It's kind of weird. The guy's all over the place. Listen, I also kind of want to talk to him. Because I do have some concerns. There's some concerning things that I think he should address. Okay, and this is kind of me trying to do that. All right, first things first. He made this video about like how to raise a child. Okay, so he made a video called that, right? And listen, he doesn't have a child. Neither do I. So you know, I can't really. The thing is, I don't think he can talk, okay, about how to have children and whatnot. Because, alright, it's because your advice, Brian, it's kind of bad. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Okay, the first thing I wanna, I guess, talk about is like a pretty severe one. Okay, Brian? You said that, you should teach kids sex ed, right? Which I believe so, too, right? You gotta teach your kids the birds and the bees once in a while. The thing is, though, he, his way of doing it is kind of not good, Brian, okay? It's not good. You said you want to like demonstrate it, like literally like a visual. Okay, there's like you you think they're all like visual learners, and you're talking about like to get them to understand like love making, that you should like let them look. Okay, Brian, I'm gonna tell you this straight. You do no, you do not want to do that in front of children, okay? Now, this is like a really bad look for Brian, okay? Like, I get your. Well, I guess I understand your reasoning, which is, you want to teach kids about the birds and the bees, but there's many ways of doing it, okay? And that's not one of them. There's like educational videos, and yes, some of it is graphic, but in a educational sense, right? There's like VHS tapes about that. Okay, you can like schools used to teach. I was like the last year of middle school is when we got one sex ed video, which is like way too fucking late. Okay, there was like kids already pregnant, like students. It was really bad. But like, I don't know the correct age to show kids that. I don't, which is why I'm not really, that why I wouldn't talk about shit like this, Brian. Which I'm honest to God, I don't think you should either, because listen, you have a lot of misconceptions in your life. Okay, I'm just gonna put that bluntly here. So like, I'm just saying, man. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you can teach kids in a variety of ways. You don't need to do the hanky panky with them in the room, okay? That's just. Okay, first of all, it's not good for your psyche, okay? It's a form of child abuse, basically. So just keep that in mind, because seeing your mother and father do it, and like knowingly too, not like they're in their room and you overhear it, but like no, it's like, hey son, you want me to see you pay, want to see my wife paid me and your mother paid me? No, you don't. No, don't do that. Okay, it's not good. In fact, it's very concerning because that could lead to a bunch of terrible shit for the kid if we like normalize shit like that. Okay, if having sex in front of children is normalized, I'm telling you, it's a bad thing overall for the human race. All right, and second of all, it's kind. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you here. Okay, like Brian, you don't want to sound like a you know what, right? You, because when you say that, despite your intentions, people might like come out of that video or like your statements and thinking you're like a pedophile, okay? And you don't want people to think you're a pedophile, okay? Right, Brian? So so that's just me, okay? You can't do that. Can't do that. Okay? But that's not all. That's like a big one. But no, that's not the big one. Sorry, Brian. But there's a second one that's more concerning to me, Brian. Okay? And it's like your main focus on your channel and like a bunch of your other channels. And I told you, like I'm the guy who said, hey, you know, when I found your channel, I asked, okay, you're like making like dozens upon dozens of videos, like 2 videos per day for the last 8 months about this thing called the roast game. And I'm like, what is that? And I told you, like, what is that? And you gave me kind of, like, you were kind of the smart ass about it. You did not tell me. You're like, what is roast game awareness month is what I said. And you're like, duh, it's about roast game. And I'm like, that's, okay. So I looked, I checked, and what I heard was concerning, okay? Okay, Brian, the roast game is, so, you know, Thanksgiving, right? You know, it's like wait, was it Thanksgiving or Christmas? Shit. No, I think it's Christmas. Okay, so every Christmas, you know, you have a holiday feast. You know, I have the roast beef, you know, roast game. Ham, you got like maybe turkey, you got cranberries, you got the basic holiday, just like figgy pudding. I don't know, but his hypothesis is that, you know, a bunch of families, they're poor, especially back in the day. As he says, it's like 1930 to 1977, so it's like a specific time range. He said that these parents were too poor to get meat on the table, basically. So they decided, I guess, to cannibalize their children, like kill them, cook them, and eat them. Like, cut them up into little cutlets and like make a fucking patty stew out of them. I don't know. Now listen, Brian. You're like obsessed with this, and it's concerning me because your evidence, you show off like stats and stuff, right? Like, oh, like here's the number of unexplained deaths or something per year, per state, per country, whatever. And you kind of like state like, oh, this is like a sign evidence that the roast game happened. Okay. Now here's the thing, Brian. Unexplained deaths. There's a lot of factors to that, especially during the 1930s to 1977. Okay, people were dropping like flies. Excuse me. Like missing children. You might put that as a stat, but here's the thing. That could mean several things. That could mean like like they got lost in the woods, medical illness, or they just disappeared, or like abducted by aliens. That could be a factor too, Brian. The thing is, that's not a good that's not good evidence, Brian. I'm just saying that. That's just my opinion. Well, listen. You argue with a lot of people online about this, and you keep going to the stats, and that's like your focus is going by the numbers or something. You make entire videos specifically, and then you go over it again and again. And you're kind of sounding like a conspiracy theorist when you do that, Brian. Because you haven't really explained a lot about this phenomenon. Like, why specifically 1930 to 1970 something? Or whatever year it is, okay? That doesn't really matter. What matters is there isn't even anecdotes. You don't even have anecdotes to show us. Like any like news stories between the past 80 years about like a parent killing their child and eating them, and cannibalism. In fact, very few people do that unless you're like Jeffrey Dahmer. And to say like there's this big conspiracy, or not even a conspiracy, like just randomly a bunch of parents decided, hey, we're gonna sacrifice our children to the meat gods or whatever. And yeah. Sorry, Brian, I'm not good at commentary. I'm just like talking up. Just playing Tony Hawk, you know. This is kind of my first time. Well, it's not really my first time, but without a script, okay? Without a script. I don't have a script with me. I'm just talking mono. And, you know, there's no story cases about kids being eaten, okay? You have stats, okay? And listen, you can talk about those stats all you want, but that doesn't explain every single component about this, okay? Because first of all, you need to explain like why they ended in 1977. And I heard you talk about it. You said it was like they just decided to stop. And also you say like it's not even about like hunger. Like it's about punishing the kids for not believing in God or Santa Claus or going this, you know, like pissing off their parents, so they decided to kill them. And it just sounds like, think about it, Brian. It sounds kind of odd, right? It just sounds weird to a lot of people, and I'm just telling you that you have a lot of interest, right? You do VHSs. You like VHSs, and I like them too. You know, I was a kid, and I had like the SpongeBob TV. Actually, it was before the SpongeBob TV. It was a normal television CRT, little tiny tabletop CRT with a VHS player like built into it. I'd watch Toy Story. Okay, I had a Toy Story VHS, and I like watched that every single day when I was a kid. Okay, I put it in. I'd have it in the background while I play with my toys or whatever. You know, it was fun. And of course, there's like a bunch of other VHSs. We had a lot. I watched a bunch. Anyways, yeah, you have a lot of interests. And I think you should look more into that rather than this roast game stuff, because you're kind of repeating yourself. Like, you've been repeating yourself. And you know, that gets kind of stale the more you do it. So you have to branch out your content, okay? If you want to get like super uber famous on YouTube or whatever, you should diversify your content, okay? Do more than the roast game. And if it is about the roast game, which I highly suggest not to, because yeah, I just highly suggest not to, and like do something else, because you like believe it, right? Like, you believe this is actually happening, Brian. But you admitted that it was something you made up for a debate, like a debate theory or whatever, like a way to practice your debate logic and whatever. And that's fine, but you admitted to making it up, but now you're like calling people liars for calling it out. What it feels like, it's like a type of schizophrenia. And I'm not saying this to be derogatory. Like, I'm not saying this to be mean or anything. I'm seriously telling you, people with schizophrenia, they have like these very deeply held beliefs that to their family and friends sound like crazy, okay? I have a family member who has schizophrenia, and they're like worried that people are like watching, buying, using like devices. No, I had two people with schizophrenia in my family, and one of them, it was during like Edward Snowden, when that shit came out. Like, oh, the NSA is spying on you. It's not a hippie thing. It's like, it's not a conspiracy theory. They're like spying. And that made them go off the deep end, and then they started obsessing over spying, and they just had very severe paranoia, and it consumed them, and they didn't get help. And luckily, my other family member does get help for it. He has medication. And what I'm saying is, you just have to. If you go to a doctor, like if you live with your parents, you have to tell them like something about it, okay? Like, this isn't mean. I'm just saying this for your own good. Like, just have a therapist. You don't even have to deny about the roast game, okay? You just need to see a doctor, because I am concerned for you, Brian, because it's not good. It makes people look at you funny. You don't want people to look at you funny. And you have this weird obsession with like the safety of children. And I told you about my family member, like their paranoia stemmed from something. That's what schizophrenia does. It makes a reasonable worry into like kind of a delusional one. So when dealing with it, like, you're into debates and stuff, I think you should openly debate with people who are respectful about you. Like, they're not trolling you, they're not mocking you, not to make fun of you, just there to listen. This can be someone online, someone in real life, a therapist. Like, I know therapists in America is expensive as fuck, and there's a shortage of them. So I'm not saying you have to get a therapist, but you have to see a doctor. Like, if you have a primary care doctor that you go to, like, to get refills or to get checkups, you have to tell them about it. Like, I'm having these thoughts that about people harming children. And if it has something to do with your like personal life, that's really rough, and that is how it gets into you, or if it's something you've experienced, or it's something you've heard about, whatever, you just need to rationalize it. You have to go into why 1977, why in these states, how in these states. You just have to question it. You have to, and if you feel like you know everything about it, just talk to a third party. Tell them like, hey, can you mind if I like fling some ideas to you, okay? Because again, it's like, remember the first thing I talked about was your like child safety views, and they're not good. Like, you had like a lot of sound advice that I think a lot of people would agree with. It's just that part is really bad, and it has really bad implications about you and your character. Okay, you don't want people to think of you in a certain light, so you need to like address that and like kind of see where they're coming from, why they're saying that. That's all. And if you're like, and if people keep hearing you talk about the dangers of children, they're gonna start questioning you, right? They're like, why is he so obsessed with children? That's what they're gonna think, and you need to not like give them that. So this is just my little video. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. You know, if you wanna talk, or if you don't even see this, it's fine. I'm like a fucking nobody, so whatever. But that's just my 2 cents. If you want to talk about it, you can talk about it, or whatever. All right, I'm open to hearing you out and whatnot. So, yeah. Let me stop playing. Okay. That's it. See you later.
When the babies arrive back in their mother's hands, they are marched in procession to the Pasquamian Natural Hot Springs,
What?
where the ceremonial purification will be completed.
What are you saying here?
As we watch, the mothers take their progeny out of the deerskin shells
No.
and dunk them into the steaming water.
No! No! I want to be me! I want to be me!
That's right, Ryan. Hot water burns.
I want to be me!